Moving on to a third speaker, we now request IIF Southern Region Council Member Mr. E. Selvan to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Sundaresan Sir, Senior Vice President, Operation and Technical, Brakes India Private Limited, Foundry Division, to our audience.
Good morning, Foundrymen. And at the outset, I would like to thank IIF Chennai chapter to giving me the opportunity to introduce Mr. Sundaresan, Senior Vice President, Operations and Technical, Brakes India. Mr. Sundaresan is a mechanical engineer from the Institute of Engineers, Kolkata, and completed an executive program at IIM Ahmedabad. Mr. Sundaresan started his career with Bin Engineering, Chennai. He has been serving Brakes India Private Limited, Foundry Division for more than 3 decades in all functional areas. An avid practitioner of total productive maintenance, he superintended plant maintenance pillar in approaching towards zero breakdown in Foundry. He initiated green initiatives at Brakes India Foundry since 2011 and continuously working towards sustainability initiatives. Mr. Sundaresan had completely involved in installation of more than 10 sand foundry greenfield projects right from the inception to handing over the production across India at Sultanate and also Sultanate of Oman. He is presently responsible for the entire site operation at Sholingar, Tamil Nadu location and for technical functions across all locations of Brakes India Foundry. Mr. Sundaresan is a lead auditor of ISO 14001 and OSHA 45001 2018 from Bureau of Veritas Certification. He is very much interested in learning and teaching and was the principal of Brakes India Technical Training Institute for 4 years, besides establishing a course on mechatronics and machine tool maintenance. Mr. Sundaresan is well versed in English and Tamil. I now request Sundaresan to take the stage.
Good morning, everybody. So it was very interactive, right, in the morning. Okay, the first speaker was talking about God, fill up your heart with God and all that. I was also telling during my Independence Day speech in my factory that you shall just shed off your ego, is what I was also telling just 2 days back at my factory. The sense the ego is edging God out is what I meant. If you edge the God out, obviously then you get into the ego. So once you have God within you, He will take you to the right way, right? With this note, I just start my presentation upon the green journey what Brakes India had done all these years. Just a glance about Brakes India. We have started way back in 1981, to be precise, on 18th January at Sholingur, 100 kilometers from this particular place, Chennai. And we have a capacity of about 180,000 tons today. And we spread across about 4 locations as of date. And we are expecting to have the 5th locations also in another about 2 years' time. The total capacity being 180,000 metric tons. And then by end of this year, it would get added up by another about 25,000 metric tons. So that it will be about 210,000 metric tons by end of this 2024. And on the capability front, we have our own tool room. That's the main plus point. So,
this is pointers.
Okay, fine.
This one pointer is like.
So we have our own tool room, which makes us the number of iterations being very low. So at the design stage itself, because design of the component is not ours, it is only the customer design with whom we work. And then in the green also, this becomes one of the major parameters with regard to the product stewardship. That's one of the verticals you work upon the green, where though the design is not yours, you have to work with the customers on a win-win situation upon ease of manufacturing, also upon the better internal porosity of the castings, so that it becomes easier. So as you have our own tool room, it becomes easier for me to produce a new product and prove the new product within a right time, rather I would say. We have about 2,500 plus employees spread across all 4 locations of Brakes India Foundry and 12 foundry lines at 4 locations. To start with Sholingur, and then we went to Oman, and then we went to Jagadia, western part of India, And latest we are working with latest we have just established a plant in Naidupeta, Andhra Pradesh. Our exports predominantly constitute about 60%, predominantly centered to the western part of Europe. What makes us one of the top foundries in the world? Strategic investments in technology and process innovation, market leaders in precision, ability to produce complex parts. Naidupeta, you will see all integral manifolds. Of course, the question of longevity of the integral manifolds is still lingering, but they are all very complicated parts. Setting objectives, eliminate control, minimize the carbon footprint. That's the topic of the discussions today. We have been practicing this green journey since last 3 decades, I would say. Though sustainability is the topic of discussions today with amongst all customers, even at the RFQ stage. But we have been practicing this since last 3 decades. Pioneers for the world's first green castings, which were supplied to Volvo, all the Volvo parts from the Naidupeta and also from Sholigur locations. We are supplying green castings, and I will also tell you how this green casting methodology is being derived at. Global presence, I said we have our foundry operations in Oman. Also, we are in the process of putting up our foundry in northern part of America. Product knowledge and the speed of new product development. This is basically predominantly upon our own tool room and then ability to interact with the customers at the APQ stage. Increase total renewable energy share. Currently, our renewable energy share last quarter, I would say for FY25, being about 68%. And it is something which is very good to see in July. July last month, it was 98% renewable energy share in foundry operation. As every one of us know that foundry is an energy industry, and 14%, at least 16% of the total cost will be to the energy cost, next to the raw material, I would say. So securing this is a big task which we have been doing last 3 decades again. Commitment to sustainable resource and protection of ecosystems. We have about 45,000 plus trees inside our premises, and also beyond fence, we donate a lot of trees to make the entire area look green. And also a good place for ornithologists. You can sit inside the foundry and see so many birds coming in early morning. It's a good watch for ornithologists. This is a foundry at 4 locations. Now coming into the subject, GreenCo. In fact, during one of the sessions when we had at CA last month, Mr. Palnivel, Mr. Vignesh Ramanan, Mr. Dayalan, they asked me why should not the Foundry fraternity in our Chennai chapter, you can able to brief them upon the green journey and GreenCo certification, which I said yes. So that's a real reason why I am here today. And I also had interaction with Vignesh Ramanan, also Vignesh Ramanan, and also with this GreenCo Executive Vice President. Today is Mr. Muthucheyan is there, who is Vice President. Also, we had a discussion with Executive Director there at the GreenCo unit, Mr. Venkatagiri. And then I had also spoken to Muthucheyan in the event of any foundry people, they want to pursue their green journey, to have a hands-on with CAI. Obviously, they can be in touch with Mr. Vignesh Ramanan, who in turn would be taking you to the right person, Muthucheyan, who would be definitely taking you on the green journey path henceforth. Okay. With this note, I just start. Basically, the process involves registration, hand-holding training, submission of documents, pre-assessment, site visit by assessors, submission of report, and award rating. This is how the whole process goes about in the GreenCo journey. And you have a document review appraisal by CAI, by third party, and also verification validation during the final audit. This will also be done by external auditors engaged by CAI. There are these many modules are there, totaling about 1,000 points. The modules cover energy efficiency, water conservation, renewable energy, greenhouse gas inventarization and mitigation, waste management, metal recycling, and also metal conservation, green supply chain, product stewardship, about which I also made a note, life cycle assessment, green building, and other projects. So these are the various modules on which every industry need to work, and the marks, weightage, ratings is also given over there. And I have also given you for the criteria for getting a GreenCo Bronze, GreenCo Silver, GreenCo Gold, as well for the GreenCo Platinum. So once you work with them, obviously you will have so many questionnaires against each module if you take. So you can able to do self-evaluation yourself based on the questions. It is all about simple questions and comprising of maybe 2 points or 3 points maximum, and some of the questions may have only 1 point. So when you go through in detail those questionnaire, so you can do self-evaluation and you yourself will know at what rating you are in, going to be, the whole industry is going to be. Based on which you can do a self-evaluation, you are going to be a GreenCo Gold man, a GreenCo Platinum man, or GreenCo Silver man as is. Okay, that's how the journey can start. So when I say the initial training, this would be for one session, and then we will be with 2 man days, and then the hand holding visits, there will be about 1 to 2 visits will be there, and the final assessment of the audit will be about 2 to 3 auditors will be present, and it will be one session where you may have 2 to 3 auditors, and certification, again all these things depending upon the auditor's outcome, you can able to get your certification done. So that's how it goes. And how we came into this. All this GreenCo draft manual was prepared only in 2012. So even before that, in 2008, CA has made this code for ecology and sustainable business growth. This was released by CA way back in 2008, and we were one of the first foundries to have signed this particular CA code for ecology, and then wherein there will be several objectives would be stated therein, with a reference of what would be the exact reduction which you take up upon the various objectives which are stated therein. So you need to work upon that. As this did not progress the way how say expected, they started releasing this particular draft procedure for the GreenCo manufacturing system way back in 2011-2012. So we were also one of the foundries who had gone through this draft procedure and put forth our views, and then first foundry to got a GreenCo Gold application prize in 2013. Besides this green, on the ESG, we also provide our employment for the local public. We have our own school, technical training school, to impart technical education, skill education upon various disciplines, and managing a technical, this is what I said, and provide maintenance support and free medical equipments for the Schollinger Government Hospital. We donate many thousands of saplings to the neighborhood on the governance and sustainability front. So the top management commitment is one of the major factors by which the entire green journey can go. When I say top management, the vision of the company talks about the green, which in turn gets converted into policy. Of course, all the industries today are certified for IATF 16949 on the QMS, 14,000 EMS, OSHAS, and also energy management system. All these policies, they stress upon policies, what you call the driving factor for the management system. So this driving factor, this encompasses the green manufacturing within the policy. Thereby, green is not a separate journey by itself. Though you follow through the CA and all that, we have integrated everything into this management system so that there is no separate audit which are to be done for the green manufacturing. Everything is integrated in the policy, so that everything is integrated with this management systems. So that obviously the internal audits as well as the mandatory external audits will take care of the sustenance of the green manufacturing system. And then coming into the business plan, obviously the business plan further is broken into the management objectives, long-term objectives or short-term objectives, and implementable action plans. Ample action plans like the various modules which I explained on the renewable energy, on the energy, specific energy consumptions, and also waste management, greenhouse inventarization, all such things are the implementable action plans which are derived, and then the results what you see, the extent of the renewable energy percentage, extent of the specific energy achieved and all that you can able to see. This is a policy which I don't know whether it is very clear for all of you to see this, but you can able to see whatever that I underlined over here. This talks about the policy itself drives upon the green manufacturing and ecology. Not clear to read.
So everything is green.
எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியுதா? Okay. So when I say this is the modules which I had explained. Okay. So you start with renewable energy module, water conservation, greenhouse gas inventarization and mitigation, waste management, material conservations, energy efficiency, then green supply chains, product stewardship. Okay, so these are all the various modules about which I had explained through the GreenCo manufacturing system. Now let us see one after another how the things are. Also difficult to change the slides. So on the renewable energy front, this is a target which we had set. So FY25, as I said earlier, first quarter we are at about 67% is the renewable energy share. In July it was 98%. If you see under scope 2 is related to, there are 3 scopes which they call it in the green management system. Scope 1 is those greenhouse which are generated within your premises. Scope 2 is energy purchased or energy generated. That's the scope 2 part of it. Scope 3 is both inbound as well as outbound logistics front. The greenhouse gas generated during this. These are all the broad classifications, and most of the industries, even scope 3 will be much tougher, because you need to take up those, if at all, foundry industry, let us take so many raw materials which you secure. So what is the percentage carbon generated during the production of that particular raw material? Per ton of the raw material, what is the ton of carbon equivalent generated? That normally the suppliers, some of the suppliers may have. Otherwise, you have a specific value, a norm value with which you can able to operate. And also depending upon the distance you operate the supplier, and also with the ton kilometer calculations, you can able to identify the total tonnage of carbon which is generated for securing this ton of material, of this particular material, from the supplier end to your end. Okay, so this also takes care of from the supplier end, that takes care of from the ore how he generates. So all that is taken into consideration. Okay, that is with regard to the scope 3 part of it. And also when I say outbound logistics, so whatever the product which you manufacture, obviously in foundry it is castings. So castings to which customers it is being sent across, whether by road or by rail or a barge or whatever. Okay, by sea, ocean and all that. So for every mode of transport, for a 10 kilometer, you have a norm value of the carbon emission, based on which you can able to evaluate exactly what is the tonnage of carbon emission for the tonnage what had been sent across to your customer end. So by this you can able to take both inbound logistics in total as well the outbound logistics up to the customer end. Then after whatever the customer does, it is not purely into the scope, but if at all customer could able to share the data, is well and good. Most of the customers, they may not be in a position to share the data. Okay, but with regard to scope 1 and scope 2, scope 1 is exactly what we do within our premises, where we are already calculating everything through ISO 14001. And also scope 2 is energy. Any energy management certified company shall have all this energy data, what you secure from government, and what is the type of energy. Is it energy, coal-based energy, or is a renewable energy, or it is a gas-based energy, or whatsoever. Based on which the secure of energy has its own ton of carbon emission per kilowatt hour. So in this case, under scope 2, 1 kilowatt hour is offset with 0.711 kg of carbon dioxide with thermal energy. And similarly, when I say for the same energy for scope 3, where if it is thermal energy, then at the generation station, obviously the coke, everything has to be transported over there. So to that extent also you should take, which comes under scope 3 of scope 2. Okay, I suppose I made it very clear. Don't get confused. Okay, scope 3 is only logistics. Scope 2 is only energy purchased. For energy purchased, so generation, I purchase from Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. Let us say, for example, such case being if it is a coal-based energy, if it's a coal-based energy, every kilowatt hour you need to get 0.711 kg of carbon dioxide. Similarly, for the scope 3 of this particular 1 kilowatt hour, where the energy producer at his end, the total logistics and then his production facility altogether, this accounts for 0.133 kg per kilowatt hour of energy produced. So in total, if you are able to see 0.85 kg of carbon generation for every kilowatt hour what we use, if it is from a thermal based energy. Okay, it becomes difficult for me to change the slides. Okay, this is again energy what you secure from outside. You can also have in-house renewable energy source, but that will be very limited. When you see a foundry industry having these things are very peanuts. Nobody would be interested in seeing these things. This every individual industries would be having it. But I would like to explain only about this something different. Okay, every foundry industry would use carbon. Okay, as a carburizer they would use in the metal. Forget about the coldest what has been used in sand plant. As a carburizer, and the people, if you could able to use coconut shells, okay, as a carburizer. Obviously, the coconut shell does not. It has got the two values. One is it can be used as a carburizer to increase the carbon content of the metal. Second, by itself, this is a fuel. Once it is charged in the furnace, this generates energy, thermal energy. So CAA categorizes this. I have the clause also mentioned. CAA categorizes this. The use of extent of the use of the coconut shell can also be made, can also be declared that it is a renewable energy made within your premises, because you will be using carburizer only within your premises. Okay, so this also can be accounted for renewable energy generated inside your premises, as far as the CE notification is concerned. Okay, so when you are claiming it, when you are going for the certification audit, if at all you are using this can also be one of the aspects by which you can able to use. Coming on to the water conservation, IIT Madras first, they had only introduced this, taking atmospheric air and then condensing it to get drinking water. So we also made this in our installations at our offices, and also all the earlier we used to be using soft water and all that. So this is no more in use, where so you need to do the regeneration of the soft water with the NaCl enrichment and all that. So this and all, this has been replaced, but this has totally been stopped now. Not worth talking about this. Maybe we talk about this. Lot of water recharging pits and recharging mechanisms have been made across the foundry. See, both Unit 1, Unit 2 of Schollinger, we are about spread across 76 acres of land, out of which Unit 1 is about 43 acres, the rest being at Unit 2. So many areas, about only 28% of which is only built area, the rest being used only as a forest like. You make all this rainwater enrichment facilities by which not only within your fence but also beyond your fence you can able to improve upon the groundwater level, which is really worth noticing it. If you see beyond our fence, luckily Schollinger is in a village. Beyond our fence, people, they used to be still doing paddy cultivation. 3 times in a year they do paddy cultivation now, which is a clear sign of this particular groundwater level, which has been very, very good today. Okay. If at all, of course, rains also helps us. You get a very abundant rain recent days. Last year it was slightly difficult, but this year it is more than good enough. And then also in the other areas, obviously in all factory areas, you will have a A-shaped building and all that. You collect all the rainwater, gets into the stormwater drain, goes to the rainwater harvesting pond and all that, which is common. Even office areas and other water treatment plants also, we made such facilities to collect this rainwater. And the condensate from the air conditioners also, we have now started collecting and then using it for the process applications. And as I said, currently our rainwater usage for the foundry process is 93%. Only about 7% of the groundwater is being used. We need to become water positive, but we are not reached water positive yet. Still about 6-7% of the groundwater being deployed. But once you make this water available beyond the fence, that fetches you better marks from the CE audit point of view. This is what I said. 22-23, it is fantastic. 23-24, there is less rainfall, so it is slightly higher. But though from the base value, it is much, much better. On the greenhouse gas emissions, it is a normal practice. When we had worked with Volvo upon this green casting release, then normally fossil fuel used to be used for foundry ladle and preheating applications. Though diesel had been replaced with the superior kerosene oil replaced with the pyro oil, hydrocarbon oil, whatsoever you may call it, but still it's a fossil fuel. Okay, but this had been replaced with the electric heaters, and subsequently it was first done in Naidapeta, and then subsequently we started horizontally deploying across the rest of the foundry locations, so that this electrical energy can be easily offset with a renewable energy source. And use electric forklifts and electric vehicles. Of course, there are limitations using electric forklifts outside the premises. In open areas, even the forklift manufacturers, they don't recommend. It is only diesel forklifts they recommend. But inside the roof, inside the factory, warehouses and all such things, you can definitely change over, which are already done. Replace oxyacetylene. This is specifically for maintenance, sir. oxyacetylene cutting and all, replaced with the plasma cutting, which in turn would reduce the carbon emission. And all this air conditioners, there will be so many air conditioners, though everything looks smaller, but you take all the smaller things and then you can able to calculate the total carbon emission abatement would be very, very high. R22 replaced with R32. Okay, everything has been replaced over a span of 10 years, not 1 year. Again, this I already discussed. And category 1 on the GHG emission, category 1, so explore, reduce the emission through purchasing the energy efficient products and avoiding virgin materials. Pigane considered to be a virgin material. Try to avoid using pigane and then because there are some customers who still insist you should not be using virgin. To the extent what? It is not something sin. The extent if you use virgin material, to that extent your rating upon the evaluation rating would slightly be lower. That's it. That's a message which I wanted to give. It is not something which is prohibited. It is. It can definitely be used. And optimizing the charge, there are many softwares now coming into picture. Hey, everybody are talking about. Now so many softwares have come and then softwares are being used for charge mix propositions, calculations. But also we are working with people even upon usage of improvement systems on various additive additions and all that. And with regard to the upstream transportation distribution, secure materials very near to your place. Also the inventory, supplier managed inventory near to your place also would be a big improvement for your green points. And when I take scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3, scope 3 there are about 13 divisions in scope 3, okay, which are not related to foundry industry. Some of them are not related. The major being all the raw materials what you secure from your suppliers. So the total green gas generation for manufacturing per ton or per kilogram unit measurement of the particular product, including the inbound logistics for the supplier end, also outbound logistics from supplier end, which is your inbound logistics calculation, which are being calculated in this scope 3. So this is where we are in today with regard to the calculation of both scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3. On the waste management, as all of you are 14,000 certified for last 20-25 years. So hazardous, non-hazardous waste and solid waste, liquid waste. Okay, people will be already practicing many novel methodology by which even hazardous waste, like when I saw oil, again, in other forums I had explained about how we can able to improve upon the oil conservations and even hydraulic oil and all that. You can do electrostatic filtration of the hydraulic oil. If you say equipment manufacturers, OEM, they still insist upon replacement of oil every year. It is not necessary that you should be replacing it. As a maintenance guy, I was also doing that the same. But subsequently, you can able to do the analysis. When you start analyzing a lot of things, Sanjay, I think we have been doing a lot of analysis on the sand last 1.5 years. So he knows what is the analysis which you have been talking about. See, when you go deep diving into the subject, you get to know a lot of things. So you can able to prove that even with electrostatic filtration, all that, you could able to extend the oil life for even 5 years without affecting the performance in terms of the content present in the oil nor the viscosity part of it. So that means the generation of the hazardous waste you are extending by 5 years rather by 1 year, which is something phenomenal, right? So like that, when you work upon that, even the hazardous waste it can also be even, see when I say cotton waste or whatever, so somebody spills of oil would be there in any industry during maintenance or any other process. If you use a spill of this and then you wipe it out, then the moment you wipe out an oil, obviously it becomes a hazardous waste. So the collection of the hazardous waste you need to really document and you need to inventorize this particular thing. Even if you take this department wise, the generation of the hazardous carbon waste, hazardous cotton waste, if I could be able to reduce by 10%, 20%, 30%, that itself would be considered to be a very good objective. If people start working on such things, obviously there will be an answer to this. And every one of us know and every one of us follow also this Foundry return sand being used as a brick. And also we got patent from India. In fact, this is not something, earlier when we were using only for a brick, okay, we worked with Indian Science for making a brick to be in line with a regular burnt brick, but this is not burnt brick. And during a foundry, what you call, when you expand the foundry industries, you need to go apply for the MOEF, Delhi, and also you need to conduct a public hearing headed by the collector of that particular state district. And during 2002, when Sand Foundry 3 was in the process of the project, I was doing the project no other go. So then the collector challenged. So still, what is the scope of this usage of this? So when I say this is use, so still there are some landfills which are being done. But to the extent, could you make the sand, foundry returned sand, to be used for vegetation? He challenged that. That time we never thought that foundry returned sand could be used for green vegetation. Then he challenged this in the public hearing. He challenged this. So we took it up very nicely. We took it up and then we turned that foundry returned sand can also be beyond bricks and all. You can also make vegetation because it contains bentonite and they are hygroscopic in nature. It can retain water and even with the less water content, you can able to grow beautiful trees. Okay. Subsequently, with the Miyawaki, we were able to make even dense forest today. But this was shown way back in 2000. We have shown to the collector and he appreciated. So that's how things go. Somebody has to drive and something has to happen. Again, everyone of us know the sand crisis and all that. Everybody had spoken. And we have also been using this core waste core sand, this rejected core sand, again back to the suppliers and get it thermally reclaimed and reuse it for the core sand applications. Naidupeta, they have installed their own core sand reclamation systems. Then they are not doing it anymore. On the material conservation, again, foundry returns, which is our own returns, borings, which is our own borings, that is my own foundry castings are being machined at my own end. At this, to my customer at least. Breaks India is also my customer. And we secure this and also steel scrap. So this is a major material. Foundry industry, for the matter, in fact, a very blessed industry with regard to the recyclability is concerned. Okay. So this is an age-old industry and the recyclability is the best example which everyone can say on the recyclability. And again, molding front, 98%, 98.5% of the same molding sand being recycled. The balance 1.5% what of which been discarded. Also, we find novel ways how this could be made into use, as every one of us know about this. Concreting also, I also worked with IIT Madras. For 4 years, I worked with Professor Indu at IIT Madras. This, what do you call cracking, because the bentonite expansion, the cracking used to be a problem with using the foundry returned sand for concrete making. But we make concrete, we make in situ this thing and then we pour concrete and with the foundry returned sand. But what Hindu's idea was to sell this for a much better, even foundry dust. Okay, dust is very fine in nature, right? Unlike the foundry discard sand. The dust part of it normally will not be used for any construction purposes, obviously. And Professor Indu Mati was explaining only the dust particle is to be made use for a construction purposes. She was making slabs and all that, and I worked with her 3-4 years. The idea was that she was putting forth her project to the government of India, New Delhi. And ultimately, this did not get through the cabinet. That is why we could not pursue. Subsequently, then I went to Oman. This I worked pre-Oman. Then when I came back again, there was a request from IIT Madras with some other professor. I want a foundry return sand, dust and all that. Then I was asking that I was working with one Professor Indumati who was head of the civil department, and there has not been any outcome since I worked with her about providing all the samples. There had not been any further outcome from that. Then Professor Indu herself came onto the mail loop. She said it is me only. Ultimately did not get through the cabinet and we could not able to pursue. No, I am different. I am working different. I said let me understand what different you are working. Okay, I don't mind providing. I still collaborate with you. We will work together. Once again, we will work together. So they are working for making use of this for a construction material about which the technicality of which even I am not aware. But now we have again reignited the topic of making use of the fines also for some construction material with IIT Madras. Electrical energy, specific energy consumptions, of course, everyone who's following, who is in Foundry, as every one of us know, energy is like a raw material. Next to raw material is energy. So everyone will look in for what are the ways and means by which you could able to improve upon your specific energy consumption for the finished castings. That's more important, okay. Again, Tamil Nadu government, they no more give any concessions when you have a unity power factor. All the foundries almost operate at 0.99, cost 90, but still it is upon our endeavor to make use of the active power usage to the best. Otherwise, it will become active power. If you don't use, then it becomes energy cost onto you. In installation of IGBT technology, we have tried only in the holding furnaces. They also now currently they are talking about introduction of IGBT in melting furnaces also at about 4,000 kilowatt plus and all that. So I have not had a hands-on experience with IGBT technology used for melting furnaces, but holding furnaces, yes. Installation of LED as well as transparent, translucent sheetings, that's everyone know. And again, if you see vacuum pumps and all will be installed in diesel-matic lines for core operations, core movement and all that. So we replace it with a pump, the motor electrical pump, so that the compressed air is much costlier than even electrical pump. So those things we have changed. Installation of the optimized power sharing controller, where there can be several units of Foundry within the premises where it could be applicable. And once melting is completed, obviously during the process of tapping the metal, you switch off the power or you reduce the power, during which the demand goes, whenever you hit the demand, then you should utilize the demand. Whatever, once the demand is hit, every 115 minutes finish, then the end of the year, end of the month, you need to pay for that full demand. So you can able to make use of the demand for sharing the demand for the other melting furnaces where it is in requirement. So that thereby you could able to operate the entire foundry at different foundries if it is there within the same complex. Then you could able to utilize the demand much better is what I am trying to emphasize here. And replacement of the regular screw compressors, the VFD operated. Anything if you talk about VFD, obviously the load has to be cyclic. There shall be up, down, cyclic load. Only then VFD can come into picture. If any load is put on continuous load, if it is always operating at 75%, 80% load continuously, no point of going for a VFD. Okay. Then explore VVD core one. VVD is again by VFD everyone knows. This is a frequency controller by which you can able to improve upon. VVD, when you have a core ovens, then the electrical heater itself works on VVD, thereby you can improve this particular oven electrical energy consumption by incorporating this. Again, replace with electrically operated vibrating machines than air operated things. And I have also explained in one of the IAA forums itself, locate air leakages across various locations within your foundry and categorize high priority, medium priority, low priority. This is our way of working, but every individual can work in your own way of working, because compressed air leakage is something very, very significant. You can deploy. It is not by just hissing noise or just by touching it. Also, you can deploy. Now there are various methodologies. You can hire such things also. Acoustics cameras, where you can be able to see even a slightest leakage at the joints can be seen, and you can work upon that, because saving of the leakage compressed air would give you a very good results upon saving the total specific energy consumption with regard to the compressors. Green supply chains, of course, where you have been practicing this export to 60%, recyclable pallets are already always in place last 20-25 years. Hand-holding the suppliers, be it on to the hand-holding suppliers, when I say, they may not be even aware of ISO 14001. So such case being, you need to encourage them. We need to even fund them for 14,000 audits and all that. Handhold them so that first they get into 14,001, they get into the 18,001, they get into the QMS. Of course, they are suppliers for an automotive brakes India. Obviously, they need to be certified for QMS. There is no other option. But 14,001, it is not so compulsory for them. So we ensure that these people are also into the 14,000 mode. So which is a main platform by which they can able to step onto the green manufacturing system. This is an overview of the foundry, I said. Again, I said. And the product stewardship, again, I am just showing an example. Again, this is specific to the integral manifold where the fuel consumption for automotive vehicles across globe is possible. So, but you need to have an interaction with the customer. I said earlier, starting of the presentation, that the product is not our design, but you have a collaborative effort with the customer, so that you get a win-win situation on the moldability, on to the internal defects, acceptance criteria, whatsoever. Life cycle assessment, I have explained about scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3. Scope 1 is what is done within our manufacturing sector. Scope 2 is the energy purchased for our own operations. Scope 3, this is what I said, goods, services in nature. Again, scope 3 you have 13 categories. I am saying major categories, I am taking into consideration of 4 categories. In category upstream transportation, and again on downstream transportation. These 3 all to be put together, and you need to find out what is the ton of carbon dioxide emitted by making 1 ton of your product. So this is to be published in the MIS, which we have been doing it. Green building, we discussed about this. Giving back to the society, of course, I already told you, drinking water facilities to villages, housing direct employment of the employment. We run a public school, CBSE education from kindergarten to 12th standard. We run a technical training school. For last 92, we started that technical training school. Still, it is going on. Now this is upgraded to a polytechnic. We conduct diploma programs on this. We have a school, we have a hospital. It's an extended arm of SMF, Sundaram Medical Foundation, Madras. It's an extended arm. And then environment, green manufacturing, I discussed about. Zero discharge of pollutants, I discussed. Incidentally, foundry industry, there is no trade effluent. It is only domestic effluent, which we could find it into use as the process also, not only for the greeneries. And also zero wastage, zero discharge of the pollutants. Then utilization of the waste, utilization of the green power to the maximum. And green belt development. All this we discussed in detail. And vision of the company, of course, all this are catered only with one of this, I would say, rather reading all this. So free education for what? Sholinger, again, it's a small village, okay? So again, for Breaks India and Madras is not applicable, only for Sholinger it's applicable. Every blue-collared employee, one child from the blue-collared employee, the entire education of which is being borne by the company, from the kindergarten level to the doctorate level. Okay, to the doctorate level they aspire for one children per family of every blue collar employee only. This education is being borne by the company, which makes them participate, which makes them dedicated, which makes them feel as one large family. Okay, that is something which is phenomenal. But this was done by our executive chairman. Okay, modules which I have explained you. Every individuals, depending upon the nature of their industry, nature of their scale of their industries, can work upon these 10 modules yourself. You can define and you can get, because the CA outline is there and what is the grading, everything is already there. You don't, even if you don't apply for the GreenCo certification today, you can keep that as a reference. It doesn't cost you any money, okay? You can just download it free of cost and you can work towards that, because there shall be some driver only upon which you can work. Blindly, everybody cannot do what they want to do. Keep this as one of the objectives, and then if you keep scoring, and then if you make your own improvements, okay, presented in your own MIS on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, or a half-yearly basis, or whatsoever. So then that gives you a feel that there is a small improvement which is happening from the green front. And once I saw that, everybody thinks that, okay, green is going to be extra expenditure, what I'm going to do, it is not extra expenditure. Nor you are going to sell your castings at a lower price. That's also keep it in mind. Okay, just because you are following all this green secure energy and all that, it is not free of charge. Nor you are going to sell your castings to customers at lower price, even if not at a higher price. Okay, it will be at the same price, irrespective of the same locations or whatsoever. But you will feel something proud about. Okay, that is very important. The individuals feel is very important. Skill development. He was talking about skill development. Okay, skill development and empowering the people, and then making everybody feel as though they work for the same company. And innovation, that's a topic of the entire discussions here. Okay, think radically and then innovate. So on the innovation front, there is enormous scope. Yeah, there is enormous scope onto that on the innovation front. What even we have been doing 30-40 years, there is definitely, when you look deeper, when you go deep dive, you can find a lot of changes which can happen. Okay. Conclusion, Green Foundry concept is a step towards achieving sustainability in the foundry industry. And it is imperative to adapt sustainable practices to reduce the impact on the environment, ensure that the resources are depleted. That's very important. Thus, foundry industry must adapt to green initiatives to help achieve sustainability and lessen the environmental burden. Okay, do not just be assuming this is a PowerPoint slide. If you somebody was talking, assume God to be within you. I also said ego, don't edge God out and all that. Assume this to be within you, then you will feel and you will work for green. Okay, it is. Don't be treating this as a PowerPoint slide, because PowerPoint slide everybody can make, but getting into the work and seeing a machine working, speaking to the machine, speaking to the environment, that makes you feel really green. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? I am open. To the extent what I know, I can. If you do not know, I'll just jot it down. I'll explain you later.
Any questions? Please raise your hands. Mic will be sent to you.
I think the extent what Breaks India has achieved, I think other foundries are nowhere near to that. Honest statement.
இப்போ எல்லா ஃபவுண்டரியுமே வந்துட்டாங்க சார். இப்போ எவ்ரிபடி ஆர் நோ கமிங் அப்.
Everybody is coming up, not to the extent of what you have been doing in your form. So I request lot of programs you can conduct small foundries. Even you can visit some foundries and suggest something so that green is going to become the order of the day going forward.
Yes, sir.
Sustainability is not there to improve by 30%, you are not going to export. In 2025, it is going to become mandatory.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, you can't export it.
Yes.
So, for the benefit of other small foundries, because even a small foundries needs exports now, otherwise they cannot withstand. So, I request.
Yes, sir. I take your word. I take your word. Yeah.
You are a doctor, management.
I am not a doctor, sir. I am also as simple as that of anyone else here. Okay, but we can definitely take it forward. I take your word. I honestly, I say that I can take it up to a cluster like.
Yeah.
Okay, when the DQM and all, Professor Suda only has taken it through cluster.
Yeah.
Okay, we could able to sail the DQM process through cluster approach only. It is not something one off may not, because these set of industries you need to have a teamwork. Individuals will not run race. You know, that's the reason why you say nobody is a master, nobody is a doctor here. Okay, it's a teamwork. Everybody they work, they shed their sweat, blood, and the guys are so good. So many guys who are sitting there now, they make a difference. It is not me alone. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you refer for blue collar employees retained, which includes CLs or
Only for our own permanent employees, sir.
Do you have any plan for retaining CLs?
As such, no.
Including the repeatable?
As such, no, sir. No. Over a period of some years of operation, they get into the permanent mode.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, sir. These 10 modules that you have shown, sir, those are all given by the standard.
CAA, they only release all these 10 modules, and every module I have given the mark ratings also. If you see energy, some 150 marks, renewable energy 50 marks. Totally, all totaling together is 1000. Okay, so these modules, for attaining the 150, there are about 100 questions. For that 150 marks, if you go into the module, there will be 100 questions with 2 marks, 3 marks and all that. If you total, that would be 150 marks. Okay, so every individual questions, if you go and you know where you stand on that question, if you fulfill that, you will get a full mark. If you partially fulfill, because all these things are to be audited finally. Okay, for the audit they will look in for your records, your process, everything they will come and do. Okay, there will be about 3-4 auditors who would come and they may stay 2 days, depending upon the size of the industry who are approaching. CAA would engage external auditors only, no internal. CAI, they would engage only external auditors, and they would come. They conduct a separate auditor program for this. People who also qualified the auditor program, they would only come and do the audit. So during the when you say this number of marks and all that, you need to showcase them everything with the documentations. Okay, they would do exhaustive audit. They would do. Then everything is open, visible. Then it's okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Okay. First and foremost, I think we need to give him one more round of applause. A sheer amount of information he has shared, and probably this is the future of our foundry industry. Apart from quality, cost, and everything, as even Mr. mentioned, green foundry, whether you're on a small scale or large scale, it's irrelevant. So, thank you, sir, for shedding light on this.
Thank you.
journey.
Thank you all.
And we look forward to working with you in the future. Now, I request our IAF Chennai chapter council member, Mr. Armugam, to felicitate Mr. Sundaresan with a traditional Angavastram.
நான் கூட கார்த்தால எழுந்தும்போது கோட்லாம் போட்டு வேண்டாம் அப்படி தான் நினச்சேன். இல்லை நீங்கள் சொன்னதுக்காக சொல்ல இந்த வார்த்தையை ஹானஸ்டாக நினச்சேன். அப்புறம் சரி அப்படின்னு நான் மூவ் பொண்ணு பண்ணுவேன்னு விட்டேன். அப்புறம் நீங்கள் சொல்லும்போது ஐயோ அப்படின்னு நினச்சிட்டேன். தட்ஸ் ட்ரூ.
ஆப்போசிட்டா இருக்கீங்க சார். பவுண்டரியில தான் அப்படி இருக்கு. இங்க வாசல அப்படி இருக்குமா? ஒரு ஏரியா அப்படி இருக்கு.
We now request our IF Chennai chapter chairman, Mr. Vignesh Ramanan, to felicitate our speaker, the memento.
Thank you all once again.
Thank you, sir.